Hello, neighbors. This is Daniel,
This is Katie.
and welcome back to the Future Neighbor Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Gochujar. Gochujar is your go-to site. We ship Korea's best food products, ceramics, and special gifts to every country in the world.
Today, I have a special product to introduce.
Okay.
It's a collagen balm hydrating ampule.
It's by a company called Bad Skin, which is a Korean beauty brand.
Yeah, I love this ampule because it's very light texture, but it's also long lasting. It feels moisturizing. A lot of the times I have like this other kind of like serum. It's very light and watery, but the thing is it dries off so quickly. So it just kind of feels like you don't have anything on. And it has no fragrance, which is always a plus for me. And and you've been enjoying it very much too.
Yeah,
so.
I like to whenever
I'm really
we get
happy with this one.
whenever we upload products to Gochujar, I always give the excess ones to Katie, and then secretly in the morning when she wakes up late, I look at her like mini drawer of all these moisturizers. I go, which one should I try today? And so I think I'm getting a benefit out of it as well. I think for Gochujar, what can I share this week? Oh, I think if you're planning to purchase, I would recommend purchasing within this week. So probably within a few days of this podcast coming out, because
Why?
Inflation is being affected by everybody. Those energy prices are also affecting our logistics carrier, and they're charging more for the weight now. They've already gone through 3 rounds in this past year of raising rates in a kind of incremental way.
Yeah.
But then I haven't reflected that, but now they've increased it again by 15%. And now I think I do have to raise rates kind of across the floor. And so, it's a slow process because, you can't I can't do it automatically. So I need to go product by product. So yeah, if you're planning to purchase, go ahead and do it before we have to raise rates slightly.
All the prices are going up.
Inflation hurts everybody.
Yeah.
Inflation is a very interesting thing. I didn't mean to start off with inflation, but maybe we could talk about inflation because, we both studied finance and economics. And for a lot of people who didn't study finance or business in college, one of those things that makes understanding macroeconomics so tough is the language.
Yeah.
We have terminology for everything,
like
right?
Stagflation.
Exactly. Like, what is a long-term debt cycle versus a short-term debt cycle? What is GDP versus nominal GDP? What is a real rate?
GNP.
If you listen to personal finance channels on YouTube or podcasts, they kind of echo the same things. When it's in 0% interest rates, which we've had for literally or near zero interest rates for the last 10 years, the advice has been, oh my God, you need to be in assets. Like cash is trash.
Yeah.
Everything is inflating. So if you want to have purchasing power, you need to be in assets.
Yeah, like property
Or stocks or crypto or whatever it is. But then all of a sudden, now the Fed changes its mind and inflation is their number one objective to control. And so now everything is crashing, right? And so if you had invested early on in the 0 interest rate environment like 8 or 9 years ago, then you've seen a lot of benefit. So for people who are latecomers, I guess what I'm trying to say is personal finance channels and whatever you're listening to is always reactive, rarely is it prescriptive. You can listen to nearly like 300 hours of personal finance advice, stock advice, but that's all entertainment.
Or read books.
You can read books, but all of that is passive information. The only time you'll actually come up with a hypothesis on how to react is if you're actively learning, which means you have skin in the game. So like you have bought some stocks or crypto or a property, and then you actually take the time to actually download data set from somewhere, put it into an Excel, and make the models for yourself. Someone can tell you 10 times that energy rates are going to go up, and so you should invest into energy. But all those people, when they say that, they don't tell you when to sell.
That's the important thing.
Yeah, and so when you need to sell,
Nobody's there to tell you.
Yeah, and oftentimes that window frame is like a week or 2 weeks to react. Like for example, in crypto, when this fell, when the bottom, when it started to drop, it was nearly 2 weeks when like 40-50% came crashing down. Like if you're not looking at charts, which most normal people are not doing every day, they're not day trading. They're actually trying to do something productive. So anyway, yeah, I think personal finance is something that you really need to actively manage, and like don't take listening to audio or videos about the subject as real knowledge. That's just entertainment.
But I mean, it's like it's a great place to start off.
Yeah, but
and
most
I guess
people
it's
stay
better
there.
than nothing.
Yeah, most people stay there and then they end up losing money in the market. So I think all of that came because like I was thinking about the term inflation, and it's just kind of, or it's hard to get your mind around it. You've worked hard and you save money and you put it in the bank. It seems like you're saving money.
But the value of your money is going down.
Yeah, it's the purchasing power. In absolute terms, the amount of dollars or Korean won you have in your bank is growing. But if you look around you, everything costs more expensive. And you might not realize that quickly, because oftentimes the cost of food or the cost of everyday things is the last to rise. But then the first things to rise are those things that you really need in your life. Like, for example, the cost of a home. Like that's already been inflating for a long time. So when you really need to put your money to use, I'm not talking about a $3 burger or a Starbucks and it rises by 50 cents, whoop-de-doo, you can cover it. When you need to go buy a house, or you'll see, oh my God, I originally thought I only needed to work for 30 years. Whoop, looks like that went up to 50 years. And it's like, I just got poor by not having this money make money for me.
Yeah.
And so that's like, if you don't sit and think about it, to someone who's not in finance, to explain to them why they need to have their money in assets or something that's yielding beyond what the inflation rate is, it's like, but it's not as intuitive as...
But it's also very relative, because if you didn't invest in anything and you had a lot of cash right now at this point, then you're in a perfect position to invest, because all the stuff like assets went down.
Or they reverted back to their normal prices.
So I guess like it could have been a good call.
Yeah, but the person who didn't invest when it was 0% interest rate is not going to be investing now.
All of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the one other thing. So everyone that's in like personal finance or like whoever guru you say, they always refer to that Warren Buffett quote. Be greedy when everyone is fearful, and be fearful when everyone is being greedy. That maxim sounds so intuitive, but it's so hard because like right now, when everyone is fearful, the idea is that you start putting money in now.
Time to get greedy.
Yeah, but remember what everyone in finance was saying for the last 10 years. You should have been invested. You should be invested. So like by the time everyone is fearful, you don't have any money left because you've invested it all.
Are you talking about yourself?
So that's what I'm saying. That's why no, by the way, everyone is invested. This time this market cycle went too fast.
Yeah.
I love this topic about personal finance and making money. And
speaking of which, I think this is a great leeway for you to talk about like what's been on your mind about how you wanna. Right now, you're like at the stage of like coming up with new ideas.
Oh yeah.
For your next business.
Yeah. This has been something that I've been like. Sometimes when I go on walks, half the times I'm just listening to like hardcore rap music, and then
which I don't understand. How can that help ease your mind?
I don't do it to ease my mind. I just like the energy. It keeps me working out. But oftentimes than not, I'm already thinking of like, what's another like business problem? Or actually, it's not a business problem.
Just a problem.
Yeah, what's a problem that I want to solve?
Yeah.
Because the thing with Gochujar is that it's become quite easy. And easy in the sense that like, it's become very routine. I know what the success levers are, and it requires time. It's like, how do you make kimchi taste good? You can keep adding stuff, but you just got to give it time to ferment. So new customers turn into repeat customers. Like more product review leads to better conversion, and it's just a matter of time. And, me working with suppliers, as we get more brand name suppliers, more suppliers want to come on. Then it's just working out wholesale pricing and then running campaigns. And I can automate this, and I've done so much automation. But I guess what I'm missing is that I'm missing this, the opportunity to use my brain. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is part of the reason why I left.
To find something stimulating.
Yeah. Intellectual stimulation. This is what I'm missing in my life. I have this itch, and I.
Well, we don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, like I just want to. I find my mind wanting to be intellectually stimulated.
Challenged.
Sorry, I was just saying earlier. This is also the reason why I left. My role was just to build relationship with buy-side fund managers and then just take the order. And I was like, I don't want to do 20 years doing this.
Yeah.
It seems prestigious, but it's not intellectually stimulating.
It's good money.
Of course it's good money, but it's not intellectually stimulating.
Yeah.
And so for Gochujar, we've stabilized in money, and that's my primary operating cash flow for my life. But then I need to do something more intellectually stimulating. That might have been the 6th time I've said that.
I think so.
That word. Because I feel like that's spot on. So with that train of thought, I was thinking like, for the second one, there are stuff that I definitely want to set parameters for. One is that I wanted to scale this time. Like, so definitely do a more like a traditional tech company. But then I realized I don't speak the language of tech, i.e. software programming.
Or coding.
Like you do.
Yeah.
And so it's not that I want to be the master engineer and make this programmer, but I need to come up with a proof of concept and a prototype. And even if I'm not going to be the person actually coding it, I need to be able to speak the language that who I would employ would speak.
Yeah.
And so that kind of really made me think that, okay, previously I had given up on learning or had no interest in learning programming because I just thought I would just hire someone. But I realized it's like if I wanted to if I'm going to open an English academy, but I don't know how to speak English, know anything about English, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
How can I communicate with the teacher or even assess if that teacher is good or not if I can't even, if we don't have the building blocks there? So part of where I thought or where I'm kind of thinking I want to build perhaps a business that I will spend the next 10 years on, maybe in parallel with Gochujar and a few other stuff that we've already built, would be in blockchain technology. I don't know where the application would be. Like if it's an app layer and we're trying to solve something with blockchain technology, but being able to write smart contracts and understanding what the fundamental building blocks are, I realized, I think I need to learn coding. It's actually kind of hard to do because I have like a laundry list of low-level brain tasks and just like maintenance work that I need to do for all the other businesses. I think business is 10 years, and I wish they would have told me that in business school. I think it was the heyday of startup time when Facebook was first coming up. When I was in high school or when I was in college, that's when Facebook first started coming out.
Yeah, same.
And so like this idea of like you can build a $1 billion company within like 1 year, 2 years.
Build fast and
break things and scale at all costs kind of paradigm was like novel. I don't know. In the past, I always thought that just happens quickly, but I think what I realized was like those are the extreme outliers that actually you shouldn't. I think more realistic is kind of cash flow positive business, self-sustaining with minimal outside investment that could scale, that has like the mechanics to scale built in from the beginning.
That's what's worked for us.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe this is too much business and inflation talk. Sorry, guys. Let's switch topics. One of the stuff that I was wanted to kind of openly discuss was kind of the amount of gun violence that we see, particularly in the United States. Oh, by the way, why this topic came back up besides like weekly shootings is that Abe Shinzo, so today, just a few hours ago,
he got shot.
He got shot and is apparently dead.
In the country of Japan, which is considered one of the safest countries.
okay, by the way, this is just breaking, so I don't know how the news story will evolve if we listen to this later. But apparently, some guy made a homemade shotgun and killed Shinzo Abe.
Yeah,
From,
while he was campaigning.
Yeah, or giving some speech in a
The public.
kind of in a local city. I was thinking about like, man, that sets a precedence of that being a potential reality.
In a country where gun is not allowed.
Yeah, and Japan is so safe.
Hmm.
And I was like, man, I hope that doesn't happen again in Korea. But if I look at like what has happened in the U.S. since Columbine, there was the Columbine school shooting long time ago when I was a student as well. And before Columbine, the idea of coming to school and shooting everybody like that wasn't even
people like brain.
That wasn't even in my psyche. Like that's not even like it's like what? They did what? That's insane, right?
Yeah,
it's like the idea of flying a airplane into a building. Before that, people like maybe thought like, okay, you try to throw a pipe bomb somewhere and it blows up, but to actually
you
hijack
need to be
an airplane,
really imaginative.
Yeah, it was like very, very creative. If I was in the US, it seems like it's a terribly complicated issue. Well, actually, I think it's a very simple issue, but I think passing law on it seems very terribly complicated. Just because the US has that that amendment in their
Constitution,
or they have that like that line in the Constitution, the right to bear arms. Back then, when they wrote the Constitution, there was no such thing as a AR-15 or AK-47, like these full automatic guns, right? It's like these muskets. You put like gunpowder.
Takes time and effort
put
in
the
between.
bullet down, and then it's like,
yeah.
And then it also comes from the fact that the U.S. had broken apart from Britain, and it was in their DNA to be able. The people should be able to protect themselves against tyranny, and that's why it's in there. But I was thinking like, okay, that's where the law came from, the spirit. But if we apply it to today, why do you need an AR-15 or any type of fully automatic or even semi-automatics or fully automatic? Why do you need any high capacity gun that you use in a war in civil society?
To fight against the police.
But if you're shooting your police like that, you're creating anarchy. Right? So who are you bearing arms against the government?
I think so.
So if the government comes against you, you're going to go with AK-47s, and do you think that's going to stop the government because a city or a town has AK-47s? There have been a lot of incidents in U.S. history where people are like, they start some religious cult and they're like, we're going to barricade this house and we're not coming out and you can't come onto this land. But does the government stop? Does the government stop because you do that? No. You can never defeat the government because defeating the government in itself creates chaos.
But I think it's like the last thing that you can do. They feel that it's the last thing that you can do to like protect yourself.
But I guess where I'm coming from is if that's the last thing you're doing, your society is fucked anyway. That your government it's no longer functioning correctly. If as a democracy you have like police that are coming in just killing everybody, and you have to have AR-15s to shoot police armed. And any authoritative government, and you're just routinely shooting police, and that's okay. That is not a functioning government, a state or country. That's a failed government. That's a failed country. And so I'm saying this like long-winded thing to say is like, I would seriously push towards just banning all these high capacity weapons, whether it's semi-automatic or fully automatic.
But still let the people have guns.
Yeah. Yeah, because if for example, crime is a real thing. If I lived in San Francisco or if I lived in LA, in a very rough part, if I lived in an apartment.
Like Oakland.
Yeah, or we could say so many different cities, Detroit, Southside Chicago, anywhere. I would maybe consider a handgun. if I lived in a very rough part, my house got broken
a lot
into,
of crime.
and my finances doesn't allow me to move out the area, I would still want to protect me, you, whoever so I would have a handgun. So handguns are okay. You can protect yourself. And handguns are a lot more efficient than at blocking an intruder late at night than shooting a semi-automatic AR-15. Do you know how many bullets come out of that when you start pulling the trigger? You're going to kill all your neighbors, kill its dogs, kill the neighborhood squirrel, kill all the cats, because that thing just like, you know, it's kind of bullshit. Like, well, you don't need that an AR-15 or AK-47,
yeah,
that's meant for hunting humans. It's meant for killing humans. Because
like in war zones.
In wars, yeah. Someone's trying to kill you, it's hard to shoot them, so you're suppressing them with tremendous amount of firepower. If we're going to just let everything go, why don't we just have RPGs? You know the Taliban, you know how they like and then explosion, right?
Like a bomb?
Yeah. If we're going to allow AR-15s, I actually would want to counter-push that, and I'm going to push for RPGs. So protect our neighborhoods with RPGs. It sounds ridiculous, right? Yeah, so I would want to see a ban on that. Shotguns are okay because a lot of times you use shotgun for hunting. I never kind of saw the appeal of hunting until when I went to my friend's house in Pennsylvania, and they had a custom. They live near a farm. They live a little bit more rural life. They're like, hey, Daniel, let's go hunting duck. And I was like, hunting duck?
Duck?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like ori.
Oh.
It was like during Thanksgiving. Apparently it's like a family ritual where the guys would go. They gave me this orange vest, and they gave me all this like gear, and they gave me a shotgun, and then they let the dog go, and then the dog sniffs out like it was a pheasant, PH. And then when the dog finds the pheasant in the bushes, the pheasant goes up in the air.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get the shotgun and you shoot it in the air, right? So, I mean, if that's something that you've done, that's fine. And shotgun's okay. Handguns okay. But AK-47s, AR-15s, these ones that shoot 1,000 bullets per second, why do you need that?
Yeah.
Why do you need that to protect yourself? That's ridiculous.
I mean, it sounds like reasonable what you're requesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then everyone keeps saying that no, it's in the second or whichever number amendment it is, or in the Constitution. They always say that. I'm like, do you live for the Constitution, or should the Constitution serve the society that you're living in?
But I guess there's that many people in America who own that kind of automated guns.
Yeah, it's a gun.
They must be the ones who are like against gun control, right?
It's fun because, to be honest, shooting a semi-automatic gun and having all that power, it's fun. But then if you think about how much damage it's causing, because
the society.
Yeah, because you can buy one of these 10,000 shooting 10,000 bullets per second gun before you can drink tequila. You can buy it when you're over 18. But you can't buy alcohol. No. So imagine a kid who's bullied at school. No girls don't like him.
Don't have their mind straight.
And wants to go down in glory like the movies. He can't buy tequila, but you can buy something that can kill 100 people.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's crazy, right? I always think if we had that kind of constitution in Korea, how many people would die?
Yeah.
Can you think about rush hour?
It'll be a chaos.
You know, we have the Gochujar, which just means like a hell train, because the subways get so packed
and crowded.
Someone coming in with machine gun and just shooting everybody.
Yeah.
My God.
So thank God we don't have guns in Korea.
Soju and AR-15s mixed together. This would be like Libya. Yeah. Seoul would be like Libya if Korean ajishis and all these had
and
the ability to buy guns. And
you know how mentally stressed people are
Hell
in Korea?
I know. And same thing in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think any place that's cramped, Hong Kong, where people live, Shanghai, and you allowed guns, like we would literally see public shootings like.
But you don't really hear public shootings in New York. Isn't it usually like the other day was in Texas?
No, there's so many local shootings that only the most high profile ones make it to national TV and then into your ears.
I see.
Yeah. But then why everyone
bad.
why it's causing so much attention is there's so many prolific school shootings now, right? Columbine was first one, and there's like I can't even name them. I think there was one called like Douglas. There's one that there's shot like little kids in a school.
Yeah, I remember the one in Virginia,
And
University
Virginia
of
Tech,
Virginia.
that was the Korean kid.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so ashamed.
Yeah, but I went through a very difficult time because of that.
Why?
Because people were kind of like, oh, that was a Korean person. Like they'll give me pressure
Right.
at school. So I was like, gosh, do I have to be hiding?
Yeah, I mean, there was the one yesterday, the 4th of July, or not yesterday, but this week, the 4th of July, and this kid was like a little rapper. He wanted to be a rapper or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But if you look at his face, oh my God.
he got shot, right?
Oh, he didn't
Or
get shot.
he shot people.
No, the cops found him. Then he gave him up. Or he shot people. Yeah. He shot like a lot of people and then he was running away and then he got caught. Yeah. Or I thought the other way, which I would push for, if banning these like war machines is too much, of course you have the power of the NRA and like there's so many elected officials whose whole political activities are funded by the NRA. That's probably one of the major problems as well, is that like there should be like licenses that get dramatically more difficult in order for you to operate a more high capacity weapon. Like, you know how when we go to scuba, you have to go get the basic license.
Yeah.
And if you want to dive to a deeper depth, you have to go get an advanced license, right? By the time you want to get an AR-15, you should have gone through like basically like however much training
all these tests and
enough so that the average person who is not like an enthusiast about
or
guns,
you are crime free.
Yeah, well, there could be like background checks added to that too. But my point is that if you want to just keep such a high capacity weapon in your house, you have to get so much training that it would weed out people who just want to have the gun for the fun of it. And it would leave people who pride themselves of getting trained and owning such a thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I guess this is even a foregone thought because the number of weapons in the US like outnumbers the number of people there. So you would have to get rid of all those guns or collect them somehow.
Yeah. But that would be very difficult.
Yeah. I remember like, I think it was during the Clinton era when they did cash for clunkers, which means like for all these gas guzzling cars that went over the recommended EPA, they would give you cash.
I see.
The government would subsidize dealers to pay you cash and take it. So I was thinking if you put enough of a premium, then people would
that could be a way.
Cash for guns.
Yeah.
But maybe those places where they're collecting the guns will get shot up and robbed during the process. Yeah, it's a strange. But then the government's in debt anyway too, and we go back to this inflation and yeah, it's a strange reality. It wasn't a reality growing up that I would get shot in school because I did education, my entire education in the U.S. The only thing that I do remember was stop, drop, and roll. So when you catch on fire, you stop, you drop, and then you roll so you can extinguish yourself from the flames. The other thing that I was taught was
why that all of a sudden?
I'm thinking about like what kind of like emergency prep did I learn in school?
Emergency.
They have like a active shooter prep now in school.
Oh,
You're taught.
Really?
Yeah, where you like shut the windows, you barricade the door.
gosh.
Like that's something that's taught in
like
school.
a natural disaster.
That's
that
what
you
I mean.
can't even stop.
That's it's not a natural disaster. It's a goddamn homemade
it's
disaster.
considered like the same thing.
Yeah, so I'm working through my mind like what did I actually learn in school? The second thing was earthquake. Quickly you get underneath your desk and then you try to hide your little fat limbs so that they're not peeking underneath the desk.
Funny thing, I never trained for earthquake at school
Do they not
in
have?
the UK.
Do they not have
We did
earthquakes?
all the time the fire alarm evacuation,
Uh-huh.
but we never had to consider earthquakes because I guess there's never earthquake in the UK. Interesting.
Yeah. And
In
then,
Korea, I think I did earthquake evacuation.
yeah. Actually, one thing that we should practice is if there is a fire or earthquake, every apartment building has like the emergency lapelling system.
But our apartment doesn't.
I mean, well, we're good climbers now, so we can just climb down from 13th floor. We could just.
Good luck.
No, we do have an emergency line somewhere.
Where is it?
It's required. It's probably locked in some storage. That's
Yeah.
so bad. We need to go find it. No, but if we go to Bokdo, the hallway, they should have something there too.
I don't think so.
Well, anyway, maybe we need to move apartments to a nicer place. But anyway, Koreans should learn how to lapel out of their apartments because we all live
your office style before
Yeah.
when you were living alone,
Yeah.
they had that.
Yeah, but I was living on the fourth floor. I could just jump out and I don't even need
That's why people die, The
And-
reckless.
that. And then, sorry, Katie, one other thing that I remember, one other evacuation or emergency prep was I took a class in photography.
Mhm.
And it was one of those like old, it's not digital photography, it's like classic film. So you have to go into a black room, you put the film into whatever thing is,
Yeah,
into
yeah.
liquid and shake it
Yeah.
and stuff.
I
And then
did
we got
that.
this prep where it's like, if you get any of these liquid in your eyes, you need to go to this device and then you put your eyes over it and then you press this thing and it shoots up like bursts of water into your eyeballs. Wasn't even like a few months before whenever the teacher was gone, just guys would just dare each other to put their eyes over it and just rinse their eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the only time I used it. So okay, one other random fact, since this is I like tangents. So in Korea, after you do serve military, you have to be in the reserve military for like, I forget, it's either 8 or 10 years. I think I'm in like my final years. And now, because of COVID, typically you go to this once every 6 months, or was it once every quarter, you go to get some basic education and then you have to go walk with the gun to do like neighborhood watch or whatever it was. But now we just do the
Online.
online. You just have to listen to a series of videos. But some of it is actually very helpful because they like review CPR, review like how to do the Heimlich maneuver properly. They have this one section on nukes.
Nuclear?
Yeah. They go like
I know how to evacuate.
during a nuclear evacuation.
Yes,
Okay, guys,
you-
let's hold on. Let me set that. Okay, let's hear How to Survive a Nuclear Blast by Katie. Okay.
You need to go underground. So you need to go to the subway. Isn't it?
So a nuke has popped off and that ring is coming at like the speed of sound. And you're going to take the elevator downtown and go find...
I mean, there's subway
Yosan.
stations everywhere. So I think what I heard is that you need to go like somewhere underground and evacuate.
Katie, by the time you open up your phone, you're going to have turned into dust. If
Oh, I know another one. You have to time it. So you need to jump at the same time as the nuclear weapon. As it hits the ground, you need to jump at the same time.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You can just jump over the nuclear ring. So simple. I don't know why people... Exactly. Guys, this is why you guys got to go to school. Don't drop out early.
No, I heard it.
No, you're right.
From
You're right.
somebody.
Good luck jumping. I'll jump with you. Just tell me when.
Let's hold our hands together
Yeah.
and then 1, 2, 3, jump. That's because when the time it hits the ground, there's so much trembling on the ground that you could die from the shock of it.
Right. Actually, I'm not going to even finish it. There's nothing that would top that. So.
No,
Well, actually, okay,
say
I'll tell you.
it.
So in the video, they said that if you're in the blast radius, there's nothing you can do. You're dead. But yeah. But one thing that was weird to me was they said if you're far enough from the radius, first of all, get on the floor, like curl into a ball, cover your ears, and then open your mouth. Now, the open your mouth part was weird to me. I didn't know why you had to do that.
Cover your ears and open your mouth.
Like, like that, ah.
Oh, interesting.
But then I looked it up on Google, and I think it has to do with something with pressure. You know that pressure wave that comes?
Yeah.
That pressure, as long as if your mouth is open, there's a way for that to equalize while that pressure is going through your body. But if you have it closed, it might just explode your head. I don't know, or your ear canals or something.
That's a very realistic advice.
Yeah. So
given
now,
how close we live to a nuclear country.
North Korea?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll jump over the rings that come.
Yeah, the rings.
And
you have to watch out, time it.
And then if we survive,
you have to close your ears and then open your mouth.
Right.
But isn't the underground thing, you haven't heard of it? Is that really true or
Katie,
not?
do you know how fast that would hit us? You'd be like, oh my God, there's a sun. The sun is rising at 12. You're dead.
My gosh.
Yeah, this
so ridiculous.
No, you're ridiculous. Now, the other thing that I wanted to hear your thoughts about was the change in the Roe versus Wade, and the abortion. You know, that was recently overturned in America. Did you have any thoughts? It's okay if you didn't have any like particular feelings or thoughts about it, but because you don't live in the U.S., so I guess, or as a woman, how did you feel when you heard that?
That was pretty shocking because America is like the abortion is allowed in America, right? Whereas in Korea, it's not allowed.
Yeah.
So it's always like, kind of, they've always taken a more liberal and like forward-thinking approach.
Sorry, I have to put a disclaimer. In Korea, it's not allowed, but in some ways it is allowed because there's a lot of places where you can get it done. But then
illegally,
the authorities,
right?
Technically illegally, but then the government won't come after those institutions. So it's kind of in this limbo area. Technically, it's not federally allowed, but there are a lot of clinics who will do it for you. But then, even though the government knows you're doing, it's like brothels in Korea, like in Gangnam and like
and there's no regulations. So like, at least
safe.
I know, like in my I heard from my mom's like friends' cases in the older days where there isn't much like proper regulation or like, so you have to really go like kind of underground to get it done, and like it's not done properly or in a safe way,
or if it's done improperly, there's no recourse, there's no thing you can do.
Actually my mom's friend, I think she had an abortion and then she never got to have a child because the whole abortion process wasn't done properly. So there's a lot of repercussions, and like as women, like you are like basically faced with this like really dear situation. So I think it's good that you can have abortion, but then like kind of I feel like America is going backwards.
Abortion is one of those topics that doesn't really move me, and I'm very honest about it. I'm used to thinking that is a right for women, and that should be, and I wish that was the case.
Yeah.
And I would, if you're asking me like where am I on that spectrum, I'm definitely on the side of allowing that on society. But I guess one thing that bothers me a little bit is kind of how sometimes when I see the speaking heads on TV talk about abortion, they talk about abortion as if it's like nothing. Yeah, that part kind of is a little bit unsettling to me. Like I have trouble hearing, like sometimes like, yeah, like I want to reserve my right for an abortion, but abortion means you're killing.
I get to kill. I get to decide whether I want to kill or not.
Yeah, like
kind of like that.
Yeah, you know how sometimes when we get in a fight, I'll say something logical, but it's like it's the way you're looking at me or the way you said it.
All the time,
right?
All the time.
Well, I guess I know what you mean now, because when I listen to some of these
Thank
people.
God.
Some people talk about abortion, they're all saying the right things, and I agree with what you're saying in words, like if I read it in a newspaper, but the way you're saying it as if it's like something to be really proud about, and like no, it's not something you should be proud about. It's not something you want to be doing. But if you had to get it done, I would support that the government is able to help you do it in a way that's safe for you. But it's not something you should be bragging about. That's just my thought. But I'm not a woman and I have never gone through it. So it's not an issue that I live with daily. So I don't really feel one way or the way about it. But if, for example, if I was a girl and
as a woman, I wish that I live in a country where abortion is allowed. I never thought that this is something that would be kind of overturned.
Yeah,
that's what shocked me.
Yeah. But this topic's going to get bigger and bigger in Korea too, because Korea likes to follow the US as well.
No, but also yes and no, because Korea is very much more conservative. Like Asian countries overall are much more conservative. So if they didn't allow it for the past 30 years, why would it suddenly be allowed? Plus, America turned conservative by overturning.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. It's definitely something it's worth thinking about. And I think those walks help me because when I'm on those walks, I don't listen to any like YouTube or listen to any like talking heads from podcasts or stuff. Just either music or turn it off and listen in my own head. And then that just allows me to weigh different thoughts. Because when you have someone talking to you all the time, you can't help but get influenced to their side. If you're listening to that same monologue all the time, it just starts, their idea become your idea.
Yeah.
You're just a little drone. Yeah, I was just thinking about it. Yeah. By the way, like I always say on our podcast, our thoughts on topics always change and always evolve. So we have this seems like an kind of a obvious thing to say. We have the right to change our minds in the future. So just take this as a coffee talk with friends.
And you can totally disagree.
Yeah.
Because like this thing about abortion is like if you're like very religious person, you're gonna have totally different view.
Values, yeah.
But we both are not religious, so our views can be very much different to somebody who's religious.
Yeah. For a little bit lighter topic, it was your birthday last week, and you had this fun experience with the color consulting. So a lot of people wanted to know about the,
so this is a kind of like a trendy thing in Korea to do, to get this personal color consulting. This is like a way to find the color that fits you the best, the color that makes your face shine and bright. And then I've been wanting to have this, like to try this out for some time because I saw it on TV and like
you saw it on 나
혼자 산다 and like I also searched online before for it, like what is my personal color, and I was always curious. But then at the back of my mind, I live with this face for 30 years. I should know what suits my face the most, and I was convinced that I was like warm toned, and because like so there's this in personal color, there's this categories called warm tone, cool tone. So warm tones are like colors that are more fall color, like orange, brown, like that kind of range.
Warm.
Whereas cool tones are like more like cooler tone colors, like blue, white,
green.
Yeah, green. Things like that. But then I'm always gravitated towards more like fallish colors. So I always thought, I'm a warm tone. And then then when I look, the first thing they asked me when I went there is like, what colors do you have the most in your closet? And I'm like, I think mostly fall colors, like brown, orange, light brown, like that kind of red. And then so I was like, so you think you're a warm tone? Yes, I think. And then, okay, so let's test it out. And we went to the room. She draped me in this like white. She covered my hair in this white scarf and like my top all in white. And then what she does is she has this plethora of all these like color.
Like different color swatches, right?
Yeah, swatches. And she'll just put it on you and see how it like looks on you. And it turns out I'm a cool tone. What a contrast. I was so shocked that day, actually.
What was your best colors?
My best colors are like white or anything like light. So like light blue or like light green. But then one thing she pointed out that actually helps me a lot is my face is kind of like red on the cheeks. Overall, I'm more like red than yellow. So she's like, anything that has like a red tone will actually make your face look redder.
Oh, I see.
So like red. So basically, warm tone doesn't suit me. That makes my face look redder, like
but you have
red,
so much red clothes,
orange, that kind of colors. I'm like, oh, okay, time to throw away all those clothes.
I loved how you like soaked it up as gospel. They also gave you some advice on the makeup.
That was so useful too.
What did you learn from the makeup?
So from the makeup too, she's like, for me, like, so all these lipsticks colors that I had are like corals or like MLBB colors. That are more like rosy colors, because that's actually considered like the pretty colors. They look so pretty in my eyes, but then every time I put them on my lips, somehow I'll look a little bit darker, a little bit like doesn't fit. So I always end up taking them out or just tap it really lightly. And she's like, that's not your color. My colors are like supposed to be a little bit more pinky, lighter toned pink colors. And I got to try them on too, because she has actually a few makeup stuff in her desk too. And then I found the perfect lip color for me. And then immediately after that, I ran to Olive Young and I got it.
Nice. Like getting this color consulting service, that was really tough.
This was the best birthday present ever.
Because this year I wanted to not give you a physical product, but like a service. And I was really debating it because I kind of thought it was like kind of gimmicky. And I was like, maybe you won't really like it. But then
I didn't know either. But it's so worth getting it. I'm telling you. If you come to Korea, make sure to book a personal consulting session.
If you can speak Korean. You forgot to put a big disclaimer there.
Yes, that too.
Yeah, maybe go with the Korean friend and they'll do both. Yeah.
And it's so fun.
But it's so booming. Fun. It's booming. There's like, it's very hard to book a slot. It's all sold out for months, right? Even like July is finished and now they have like booking August. But I guess where I kind of thought value in it was you showed me that blog post that showed Son Hye-jin, which I think anyone who watches Korean dramas know.
Yeah.
And like they showed her, she apparently is a cool tone.
She's naturally a cool tone.
But then
earlier in her career, when they didn't know that, or like when they were experimenting, there's some photos of her in warm tone colors, and she looks not good.
She doesn't look good.
Even though she's Son Hye-jin.
Son Hye-jin is very famous for her beauty, but then when you look at the one in the warm, you're like, oh, she looks pretty ordinary there. And then I was like, wow. It's the same picture, but she's just in different clothes and
different colors,
different colored clothes, and wow, that does make a difference.
Or different colored makeup.
Yeah, and I also thought the lady who was doing that service was like very like good with her words and very accommodating. She was
very professional,
and I think that's a huge skill. Like I don't think I would be able to talk in that tone and just like answer every question in such a nice way, and she's just so nice.
Bear with me, even if it's the stupid question.
Yeah, we ran 30 minutes over time. She never mentioned time once. She just kept like just very accommodating.
Yeah, that was a very pleasant, fun experience.
I think your sister would be good at it, but maybe not the part with being
the words.
The words.
She's a bit spiky.
She's a bit spicy, so.
Yeah, so I kind of got some makeup tips from her, and I feel like I should have got this like long time ago, like in my early 20s. That you would have saved up so much money on all these makeups and clothes that I buy.
It makes sense because women spend a lot of their monthly budget on like cosmetics and stuff. So if you can find the right ones quickly and not waste so much money.
Yeah, and you know what you the most. Yeah.
But when I asked her like, where did this concept come from? She said she learned in Japan, but originally came from the US. But then I don't really see too many US people talking about it. So maybe it's not maybe they productized it so well to the Asian market that it's a
Maybe.
thing. Whereas when it was in the US, it was more of like a high-end thing that wasn't really accessible to most retail people.
Or like, yeah, like you said, productize it.
Yeah.
They maybe the Korean people did it, really, like they did it really well.
It was about, right now the prices are anywhere from like $90 to about $120 for about an hour, hour and a half.
They
Just
have like
FYI.
the whole system in place. She has all the slides out.
Mm.
Once you figure out what tone you are, so there is summer, spring, fall, winter.
Mhm.
So like I'm the summer light tone. So
Summer
once
light
you
cool.
figure that out,
Yeah.
summer cool light or
Summer cool
something.
light, yeah.
She has like another set of decks prepared, and she just like plays it and explains every slides, and yeah, fun.
I could totally see that if they're able to. I mean, because the thing is, well, at least in my head, they labeled it under the services of 경영 consulting, which management consulting is
Yeah.
also a part of. And I just thought that was funny. And what I was thinking was that like this could be a great way to employ a lot of women to do self business. Like if there is a place where you can get all those PowerPoint decks and then you can learn about how to categorize, because learning the classifications is not hard. The only thing that's hard is, okay, now that this person is in front of you and they're asking specific questions, they'll ask like, okay, so then where can I get clothes that look like this? But like, hey, in our mall, there's this clothes is nice. This brand of cosmetics is nice. So if you have local information about where to buy clothes or the brands that are in your country, but then how to set up a session, learning the categories, I don't think that's hard to learn. I think you can pick that up in 3 months, less than 3 months. And then you can set up your own consulting shop for women and then be self-employed. Like that's what I thought it was in my head. That's how I know I'm a business person. I was like, if you can export this into small towns, because like everybody would love to learn from people that look like them in their own local areas, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're going to pay $100 to get a perm, why not spend $100 to learn about your colors, what kind of makeup looks good on you, what kind of like, you can modulize, you can do the fashion module, you can do a makeup module, you can do the personalized color module, and then you can upsell. Man, it's a great way to employ.
Yeah.
And women spend so much time ever since they're young on makeup, so they're naturally a user of the service and they have firsthand knowledge of stuff. So I guess all you have to do is work on your words and be able to deal with pesky customers, and you should be all right. So anyway, I think this is one big perk about living in a big city is all of these trendy stuff come through, and then you can get inspired to take these similar services and business build in a different country, or you can make a derivative of it, and you just get a lot of exposure to what's going on. And then I could see how hot it was when I was asking the lady. I was like, hey, do guys do this? And then she's like, are you kidding? Yeah, I have a lot of guy customers. Guys are sick of buying clothes that don't look good on them.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I could book a session for... I was like, oh, okay.
But I think you are a cool tone too.
Oh, I already know. My face is always red like a tomato, so...
So red doesn't suit you.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes your face look redder. So something like blue, green.
There was one experience that I had, the yoga.
Yes, tell me about it. Well, tell our listeners about it.
All right, guys. So Katie has been, in addition to our climbing, Katie has been saying like, oh, her 골반. What is 골반?
Muscular? No. My
Your
socket.
waist?
Socket.
All right, guys, her socket. Who knows what socket we're talking about, but her socket is off. And it's your hips. Your hip area is 골반.
My pelvis.
Oh, pelvis, yeah.
Yeah.
Hip pelvis area seems a little bit off.
Always a little bit off.
So she was going to yoga, and then she's like, Daniel, can you please come with me? And I think I already explained in a long time ago, previous podcast, when she took me to this. This was my first encounter with yoga and these ladies it's like a healing center for old ladies and pregnant ladies. And then as soon as we started, this old lady farted on my head a few times. And then I was
That's
just
true though.
I was so traumatized. I was
It's
like,
not exaggerating.
is that what we do here? Just everyone's just like releasing their dinner into this small room, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm young. I'm healthy. I ain't gotta be here. So
Yeah, I apologize. That was my fault. But I didn't know too that it was the kind of like
yeah,
relaxed place.
So-
but this place that I found recently is like much younger,
yeah,
and it's like
it's pretty close to our house, and so I was like, you know what? After 6 years of post-traumatic stress, that was a good enough time for me to get over it. So gave it a second chance, guys. And yeah, I was a little bit nervous, seeing if there's only old ladies that looked gassy around me. There was none.
so mean.
And then yeah, we started, and few takeaways. Number one, yoga is really tough.
It's really hard.
Very physically demanding.
It is. It's
Yeah.
like you sweat a lot.
Yeah, you definitely sweat a lot. And
I sweat
wow.
more than climbing.
yeah, because a lot of times climbing, you're resting because you
Yeah.
don't want to get pumped.
And it's so hard.
Okay, so I give yoga that. It is very physically demanding. You do it. Now,
Now,
the
What?
reason why I haven't gone back,
so sad.
I have to start off with the big question is, I didn't understand the point of yoga. So I actually asked the teacher, what is the point of doing yoga? Like, what happens if I learn yoga for 10 years? How does it differentiate for someone who hasn't done yoga? And I don't think the teacher was expecting this answer. Of course, this wasn't during the session. This was after I
Wow.
introduced myself.
She was a little bit taken back.
Yeah, she was a little bit 당황 or taken back. And she was like, I forget what she said. I don't think she even gave an answer. She's like,
More flexible.
you'll get more flexible. And then I
and
took her
healthier.
answer, but I was like, I did an hour and a half of these vinyasas, just vinyasa, vinyasa, everyone dog down, vinyasas got up. And I thought this thing would change. Vinyasas. And like 20 minutes later, vinyasa number 2, we're doing this.
That's the
Left
whole
body.
thing about vinyasa.
This repetition.
It is repetition. That's the whole thing.
This repetition. And I'm like, I've learned how to play tennis. I know how to stretch out my body before workout, and I know how to do post-workout stretch outs. I've learned all this. If it was just to become more flexible, I think I could do it in 15 or 20 minutes. And if I did it every day, I think I could probably do the splits faster than literally 130 years of vinyasas. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe she just was a little bit taken back. So maybe, I remember asking her, I said, is it about doing complex poses? Is that like something people are trying to work towards, like doing? And then she's like, not necessarily. Like you don't do yoga just to learn how to do these crazy poses.
It's about more internal.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing you can say.
Yeah.
Like breathing,
Self-reflection.
and there's.
meditation /
I looked on Google, and Google was like, it helps to connect body and mind. And I was like, if that's where I'm going to spend the next 5 years of mine, to connect my body and mind, that's a pass. I don't need that.
But I don't know what you wanted to get out by asking that question. I mean,
No.
it's the same thing. Why do you do climbing? You want to be better at climbing. Why do you do yoga? You want to be better at yoga. That's it.
That's a good point. But the reason I ask, now here's now you got to listen to what I'm saying. Why do I climb? The first answer is because it's fun.
Yeah.
Why do I play tennis? Because it's fun.
Okay.
Doing 100 vinyasas for me
It's
is
not fun for you.
That's
Yeah,
why I'm looking at
that's the
why
difference.
people go through something
Then
that's
you don't. That's yoga is not for you.
I see.
For me, yoga is fun. It's addictive.
There you go. That's
I
our
like
true
it.
answer then.
Mm.
For you, it's fun. For me, it's not fun. So I'm trying to understand what the utility, and
Oh.
because I don't live in other people's brains. I only have my
Yeah.
brain. And to me, this is
It's like-
repetitive and dull as hell.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's making me sweat, and it is physically antagonizing, and I feel like very refreshed and flexible.
Mhm.
But I could get the same without going through so much hours of doing that.
Mm.
And so I'm like, this is not fun. there's a lot of these poses, and the teacher is, since I'm the worst, I'm a beginner, I'm put in the back, and she's all the way in the front. And then she'll go like,
You feel pressure.
she says all these code names for these poses. She goes like, Crocodile Hunter 3. And like, I gotta do my legs somewhere. I don't know.
To be honest, I still don't remember that.
Yeah.
I think she says
She says
like,
flying squirrel
she
to
said
Crocodile
warrior
Hunter 3
no,
to...
warrior 2. And then she says Ustagara something. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's like Indian and Thailand mashed into one word.
It's
I'm
so
not gonna
hard
know
for
that.
me to do, but
Exactly. So what I'm getting to is I'm trying to look at the teacher, but then there are some poses where then the women are in like very vulnerable positions. Their faces are between their legs, looking at the back, and here's me trying to look forward, but then I have to look past this girl looking through her butt to look at the teacher, and I can't imagine. She's already bent backwards like a pretzel, looking my way. And for a second, my gaze matched her eyes. And then she's probably thinking, am I looking at her? And I'm like,
no, that's just you in your head.
I know, but
You're a married man.
I know, but I'm a guy and I'm conscious of that because I'm not a psycho, right?
What's wrong with you? There's a 40-year-old ajashi who comes and he's just all about himself, focused, and just sweats like hell, and he's just a regular there.
Well, I give him applause. But for me, I'm like, okay, all right, keep your eyes to the teacher. But then I can't see the teacher because now this pretzeled girl's legs are blocking the teacher's views. So then I look to the side. I look at you. By the way, you're nowhere near the crocodile hunter pose. You're just a scared cat. Your pose is like half off. So if I follow yours, I'm gonna get scolded at because I'm not doing it properly. But you're making all okay.
That's true.
By the way, Katie, this is so funny. She keeps going, "Who's making all that noise?" And I see you like, and the teacher keeps going, "Who's making all that racket in the corner?" But she's talking to Katie all the time. And I was about to burst laughing because
it's so tough for me, and I can't stop it.
And I had to tell Katie, you're like holding poses as if you're doing powerlifting. I think your position is wrong.
Like,
your form is wrong. Your form is wrong. It looks like you're carrying bricks on your shoulder. And then and then here's you to the left, and then here's to me to the right. But then I look, but there's a pregnant lady, right? Yeah, and then there's a pose where I'm supposed to balance on my head and have my legs in the air, and I really want to do this one because
you did it really well.
Because this one seems like acrobatics, but then I'm about and she's like, extend your legs, and I extend my legs, but then I'm falling to the right, and then I'm thinking, oh shit, this is a pregnant lady. What if my heels land on her belly or something? She's a little bit close. I'm like, oh fuck, I can't do this.
Then you can fall towards my side.
Yeah, but then now you finally mastered the crocodile hunter move, and I can't mess you up. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
to be honest, I'm glad you're not coming because I couldn't focus when you were there. You made me crack up when I look at you. And
then she dropped. Oh yeah. Oh, it was so funny because she was like, bend. She was like, twist your 골반, and then my shoulders.
Your pelvis.
Yeah, she's like, twist your pelvis to the right, slightly, a little bit down, like 15 degrees. And then my whole butt would drop. She's like, no, keep your butt there. And then my shoulder would drop. And she's like, your pelvis. And then I would tuck my pelvis. And she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, this is hard. And she's like, no, you just got to focus. And then I'm like, okay, and I'll do it.
Focus.
But all of my parts would keep moving. And then at one point, she said underneath her bed, underneath her breath, she was like, 역시 남자들이 힘들어. Which means, yeah. Definitely men are harder. Then I was kind of like, that's a condescending thing to say. And then at the end, she dropped the Kleenex, which you're supposed to cover your eyes. But I thought it was to wipe your sweat. And then I basically wiped my sweat. And then I see everyone putting over their mouth. And so then now I have my sweat over my mouth. I'm like breathing in my sweat. I'm like, what am I doing here? So that was my second experience, guys. But I told myself I would reserve a third chance.
Really?
When we go summer vacation somewhere, like in a nice country.
In like a different country?
Yeah.
Like in Bali?
Yeah. And if you want to do like an outside.
A proper
Yeah, I want to try with an American instructor and see what the difference is.
Me too. I want to compare.
Because American style is like, guys, every improvement is something to be applauded. Versus Korean, it's like, why are you not doing the splits yet? So
no, she's not like that.
So I just want to see what the difference is.
Yeah, but it was really, really fun. I mean, your reaction was so fun.
Yeah, that was good. But I'm open to it. Open to it. Oh my gosh, guys. I think we've talked our ears off. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I don't know if you're listening while taking a walk, while doing some dishes, while you're cooking, while you're studying. I think we distracted you long enough. Get back to work, all right? Let's be productive. See you guys. This is Future Neighbor.
See you. Thank you for listening.
And remember, nuclear bomb hits, time the waves. Jump.